Calloway didn't earn her reputation overnight. Back in 2019, her former friend Natalie Beach dropped a viral essay that tore open the carefully curated image Caroline had built online. The essay claimed that Caroline's rise as an Instagram literary it girl wasn't quite as authentic as it seemed, alleging that Beach was secretly ghostwriting her captions while Caroline played the face of the brand. Overnight, Caroline went from influencer darling to internet villain. But the controversies didn't stop there. Soon after, she launched expensive creativity workshops, promising an intimate experience with her fans. Tickets sold out fast, but what followed was a logistical nightmare. Some events canceled, others haphazardly run, and customers demanding answers. And then came 2021, when Caroline marketed her very own $75 skincare oil, boldly called snake oil. She billed it as nothing less than the fountain of youth. But instead of glowing reviews, the product sparked complaints, so many that reports even made their way to the FTC and FDA. All of this solidified her image as the internet's favorite scammer, a label she since leaned into. But here's the catch. While her critics shouted fraud, Caroline found a way to flip the narrative and turn scandal into entertainment. Transition into next section, but now, instead of being the story, Caroline wants to tell the stories, and her latest move might just be her boldest yet. Can a woman who's made headlines for scandal suddenly become the one exposing scandal? Calloway, a name that's been synonymous with internet drama, failed workshops, and even a controversial skincare line, is stepping into a completely new arena. With her latest project, The Hunt, she's swapping the spotlight for the role of investigator, diving into alleged scams and frauds alongside investigative journalist Sam Koppelman. It's a move that makes you wonder, is this a genuine attempt at redemption, or just another chapter in a story built on controversy? Audiences are watching closely, and every step she takes feels like walking a tightrope between credibility and chaos. Transition into Section 1. To understand why this is so intriguing, we need to rewind and look at how Caroline earned this scammer label in the first place. Calloway didn't exactly earn her reputation quietly. Back in 2019, her name exploded across social media after Natalie Beach published a viral essay titled, "I Was Calloway." Beach revealed she had ghostwritten much of Caroline's early content, while Caroline took the credit and the fame. To the public, it looked like Caroline had carefully constructed a persona, but behind the scenes, there was a whole other story. The controversies piled up quickly. Caroline launched pricey creativity workshops that promised an exclusive, intimate experience with fans, but many events were poorly executed, some canceled entirely. Tickets sold for hundreds of dollars, yet attendees often left frustrated, feeling misled. And then there was the infamous snake oil skincare product in 2021. Marketed as a miracle $75 elixir with claims like the fountain of youth, it quickly drew complaints, including multiple reports to the FTC and FDA. What seemed like a bold entrepreneurial move only fueled the scammer narrative. Through it all, Caroline learned to lean into the reputation. Instead of shying away from criticism, she embraced it, even titling her 2023 memoir Scammer. By turning scandal into a kind of performance art, she blurred the line between real missteps and entertaining persona, creating a story that the internet couldn't stop watching. Transition into Section 2. But now, instead of being the story, Caroline wants to tell the stories, and her latest project might be her boldest yet. Calloway is stepping into a completely new role: podcast host and investigative guide. Her latest venture, The Hunt, pairs her with Sam Koppelman, best-selling author and co-founder of Hunterbrook Media. But this isn't your typical celebrity podcast. Each episode acts as an audio companion to investigative articles published on Hunterbrook's website, breaking previously unknown scandals wide open for the public. Koppelman calls it a scam unboxing, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Together, he and his team of journalists walk Caroline and the audience through complex stories of fraud, grifting, and deception. Caroline asks the questions, reacts, and adds her signature mix of humor and performance, while Koppelman provides the investigative backbone. The podcast isn't just about entertainment. It's about impact. Koppelman explains that Hunterbrook's goal is to make sure these stories reach the masses, not just financial insiders or legal experts. And with Caroline's viral persona, the stories are guaranteed to grab attention, drawing listeners who might never read a long investigative article, but will stay tuned for every twist in audio form. Topics will range from finance and healthcare to environmental scams and beyond. The schedule isn't fixed. Episodes will drop in real time, synced with breaking stories. That unpredictability adds a sense of urgency and stakes. Listeners never know what shocking story will surface next, and Caroline's reactions become a central part of the experience. Transition into Section 3. But while Caroline prepares to tackle some of the biggest scams out there, it's hard not to notice how dramatically her past controversies contrast with the serious investigations she's taking on. Caroline Calloway built her internet notoriety through small-scale, messy, and deeply personal controversies. From ghostwriting scandals to workshops that went off the rails, and even a skincare product that drew regulatory attention, her past missteps were largely contained to her own brand and audience. These were personal dramas amplified by social media, but on a scale that, while viral, didn't have real-world stakes beyond her immediate followers. Now, with The Hunt, she's stepping into a completely different arena. The podcast aims to uncover large-scale frauds, financial crimes, and schemes that can affect thousands, even millions of people. It's investigative journalism, not influencer drama. The contrast is striking. Caroline, once the subject of small scandals, is now guiding listeners through stories of major deception and complex schemes. And that contrast raises an important question. Is she ready for this? Can someone known for personal controversies credibly investigate the deceptions of others? Audiences can't help but wonder if her flair for performance will complement the reporting or overshadow it. Every reaction she delivers on the podcast will be scrutinized, and her credibility is on the line. Caroline Calloway has always walked a fine line between reality and performance. Her internet persona thrives on humor, exaggeration, and the occasional outrageous stunt, from selling overpriced snake oil to refusing to evacuate her Florida home during Hurricane Milton. For Caroline, controversy isn't something to hide from. It's a tool, a part of the bit that keeps audiences watching. On The Hunt, that performative edge is front and center. She leans into her reputation as a scammer, making jokes, poking fun at herself, and even dramatizing certain moments. But underneath the humor, there's a clear commitment to the material. Serious investigative stories, large-scale fraud, and high-stakes revelations. She's attempting a delicate balancing act, keeping the podcast entertaining while maintaining credibility. This duality raises an intriguing question for viewers. How much of Caroline's reactions are authentic, and how much are crafted for entertainment? Her history suggests she knows exactly how to play the audience, but her co-host, Sam Koppelman, brings investigative rigor that demands more than just a performance. The result is a tension that keeps listeners guessing. Will she be the humorous commentator, the serious investigator, or a mix of both? Reactions to Caroline Calloway's new podcast are already stirring online. Skeptics question whether someone with a history of small-scale controversies can credibly investigate larger-scale scams. She's the subject of her own scandals, some critics argue, wondering if her performative style might overshadow the reporting or even trivialize serious stories. Others worry about consistency. Will she treat every story with the same rigor, or will some episodes lean too heavily on entertainment? But not everyone is doubting her. Fans who have followed Caroline's career see her unique persona as an asset. They argue her humor and flair make complex, dry investigative material accessible and engaging. With Sam Koppelman and Hunterbrook Media providing journalistic backing, supporters believe she could strike the perfect balance, entertaining while still shedding light on stories that matter. There's also a broader ethical conversation brewing. Can someone who's built a career on controversy responsibly cover crimes and scams affecting real people? The tension is palpable. Caroline's history guarantees attention, but it also magnifies scrutiny. Every reaction, every joke, and every misstep on the podcast could influence how audiences perceive both the story she covers and her own credibility. So, what does Caroline Calloway's leap into investigative podcasting really mean? Is the hunt her chance at redemption, a way to step out of the shadow of past controversies and show a new, serious side? Or is it just another twist in a story that has always thrived on drama, viral moments, and public spectacle? Success for Caroline could mean a lot more than just listeners. It could cement her credibility, prove that her performative flair can coexist with real investigative rigor, and introduce her to an audience that respects her for more than social media antics. She could transform from internet scandal to trusted commentator, someone who sheds light on deception while keeping it entertaining. But the stakes are high. Failure could reinforce old perceptions. Caroline, as someone who capitalizes on controversy without substance, whose humor undermines serious reporting, and whose credibility never recovers. Every misstep, every offhand joke could be scrutinized and shared online, potentially overshadowing the very stories she hopes to highlight. For viewers, that tension is what makes the hunt compelling. It's not just about the scams being exposed. It's about watching Caroline navigate a world where her past and present collide. Redemption or drama, performance or authenticity, entertainment or investigation. The answer isn't clear, and that uncertainty keeps audiences hooked. Caroline Calloway's journey from social media controversy to investigative podcast host is nothing short of fascinating. She went from ghostwriting scandals, failed workshops, and the infamous snake oil skincare to embracing the scammer label in her memoir, turning public scrutiny into a form of performance. Now, with The Hunt, she's tackling large-scale fraud and exposing scams that impact thousands, all while balancing humor, persona, and serious journalism. Her past controversies cast a long shadow, raising questions about credibility, authenticity, and whether her performative style will complement or undermine the podcast's investigative goals. Audience reactions are split. Some see potential for redemption, others fear more drama. But that tension is exactly what makes this story so compelling. The real question remains, is Caroline exposing others to genuinely atone for her past, or is she simply building a higher ladder of drama and attention? We want to hear what you think. Will this podcast mark a turning point in her career, or is it just another chapter in her ongoing saga? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and join the conversation.